Welcome to Business 121. We're going to start on Chapter 8 and go through a couple of examples. The first example is 8.1. It talks about economic value, basically a way to determine the value of a customer on a per year basis. So, sort of an interesting model. Each business may tweak this model. There's nothing that says this model's perfect. It's one model, but it's a great model to take a look at and do some Excel allows you to do some what ifs, helps you understand your business better. So first let's talk about the different variables. In this model or this function, we're talking about R to stand for revenues per purchase, so basically the unit sales price, frequency of purchases per year, so if some items are purchased multiple times a year, in the example we're going to show you of a car dealership, the purchases per year would be less than one purchase a year. M is going to stand in our model for the gross profit margin in percent. So remember, gross profit margin is how much money in profit as a percentage of what a sales dollar is. So it's kind of for each dollar of sales, how much it translates into earnings, 5%, 10%, 20%, and so on. Finally, we're going to talk about D, a defection rate. That's going to talk about how many customers left us or didn't do repeat business, because part of what we're trying to show in this model is the value of customer loyalty or having loyal customers. So in this model, we've said revenue times the frequency times the profit margin will tell you how much we're earning in that by that customer, divided by the defect rate. So if we're having lots of defects, then they're not valuable. So let's think of a simple example, and we've all bought cars, and I've just sort of laid out here for you the assumptions and the results. So the results is simply, if we go to this cell, is simply this function that we calculated, the revenue times the purchase frequency times the growth margin divided by the defection rate. Well, if you think about a car, $35,000 car, let's say people buy a car every 5 years, so that would be 0.2 per individual year. Gross margin rate, we're assuming here of about 15%. I've given you two examples, a defection rate of 50%, and then if we can cut that defection rate in half, look what happens to our annual value or profits per customer. It basically doubles from 2,000 to 4,000. So if you can make improvements in your defection rate, i.e. retention of loyal customers, it has a big impact, which you can see in this model, on your earnings potential. Now, we can, and over here I just calculated the percent change by taking, the beginning minus the original minus the ending divided by the original. And, it's kind of fun to play around with this model. We can put in 35% and see what happens. Defection rate. And it allows you to say things like, well, gee, for each 1% improvement in defection rate, I can improve the value of the customer. It's worth $43 per year or so. Now, remember, this model is per year, so if I cut the defection rate in half, I'm saving or earning 2,000 roughly dollars per customer per year, but I could very easily have a car customer for 50 years if I'm a local dealership. So now 2,000, that's $100,000 it's worth to me. It's worth keeping that customer. Anyways, that's example 8.1. We'll go through other examples and other videos. Any questions, let me know.